Hi guys, welcome back to the recap and this time review. So we're going to actually recap Game 3 and we're going to preview Game 4. So right now I'm actually just outside, but now is a better time than none. So I talked to Dallas again and he had a few things to say about what happened in Game 3 because it was an interesting Game 3. Oshawa won with 8 seconds left in the third period by a goal by Nate Moore. But the Generals did win, but it wasn't without any actual competition. It was a very tight game. 4-3 final score. Oshawa wins it in regulation. But they are also looking very. This is a very physical series. But there were a couple of suspensions in this game. 1 minute into the game, Blake Smith hit someone, I can't remember who, and got a 5-minute game misconduct. He ended up getting suspended 5 games for that hit. It was so far behind the play, not a lot of cameras caught it, so there's not a lot of footage on it, but he did get suspended 5 games, which I thought, and a couple of other people thought, was like, oh my goodness, 5 games, really? Maybe it's because of his history. I don't know his suspension history, but about 10 minutes later, Jacob Faska hits blindsides McKinney, who actually, McKinney's a big name in this game because he's the force against Kingston, which is weird. Kingston is focusing a lot on him, and we talked to Dallas and Adam about that later on. But basically, Faska blindsided McKinney, and Faska got reviewed, and Faska got kicked out of the game, and he got a 1-game suspension. So both of those guys are out. But one good news for the Oshawa Generals is that Cam Butler is back in after receiving his 2-game suspension in Game 1, after a hit in Game 1. So here's what a few of our friends thought about Game 3.
I think after Smith committed that 5-minute major, which didn't really look like a 5-minute major, I think he just ran into him by mistake. I don't think that should have been a 5-minute major, but it did slow down the pace of the game for the Gens. Kingston, on the other hand, they did pick up a bit. They had pressure, and with Frasca taking that penalty lead with Tim McKinney, knocking him head first into the board by the numbers, I think that was worthy of the 5-minute major. And the style of the game changed drastically for Oshawa's favor. I do feel like Kingston was going after McKinney a lot. I think the reason why is because I think he's an offensive threat. Even though his gameplay does not seem like an offensive threat, I definitely feel like he can be an offensive threat in this series. I feel like his performance was actually really good. Yes, he did give up 3 more goals. But yes, the defense did rally around after losing one of our defensemen to that 5-minute major I talked about earlier. But I do think he played pretty well. He's a really good goalie. Yes, I think this is the kind of series we should expect from now on. Going into Game 4, I think it's going to be about the same, also barring what happens between Smith and Frasca, seeing if they both get suspended, and for how many games. Plus, Cam Butler is back on Thursday after serving his 2-game suspension, so we'll see what happens there. Honestly, I think it's just a one-off. Maybe it's not, but I still think that with these 2 points tonight, it does give Tulio a boost. We will just have to wait and see for Thursday and see what comes of that.
So that's what a couple of our friends had to say about the Game 3. I want to look a bit into Game 4. So coming back, you have Cam Butler. Cam Butler is the guy who scored the first goal of the playoffs for the Gens, and the only goal in Game 1 for the Gens. But he also did take a suspension in that game. So he's back. That's a good offensive and power play force. at top right now. So he's back in the lineup with Blake Smith and out. That's gonna lose a lot of physicality, like Adam Dumpy will say later on. But when you have Blake Smith suspended for 5 games, it just feels like it's too much. But he won't be playing in this game, neither will Frasca after that hit on McKinney. So let's look into a bit into the actual game for itself. You're gonna have Lieber, and with the game 3 performance, I think it gave him a bit of confidence back, and I do think that Lieber will be one of the stars, if not the star of the game for the Generals tonight. Tulio got a couple points in that game, in game 3, so he's off the schneid against Kingston, and I do think that will help him. I do think Tulio is the kind of captain that doesn't need to put up points, but does. Tulio is a leader, and by that I mean he is that on both ends of the ice. He's one of the better ball checking players on the team. He's one of the best back checking forwards on the team. He's just an all-around good player, and I think Edmonton kind of got a steal of the draft with picking him in the 5th round. But we'll see. Not all OHL players that will make it into the NHL. But some skills won't. You see some players that are phenomenal in the OHL, but don't make it in the NHL, and that's just because their skill caps out. And I don't think there really is a cap right now for Tulio the way he's playing. So he's going to be another top star. One guy you have to really pay attention to on the Kingston side is Zayde Wisdom. So Zayde Wisdom missed half the season because of surgery, and since coming back at the trade deadline, he's been on fire. He's been a killer against the Generals this year in the playoffs. But at the further end, you're looking at a player like Shane Wright, who is being a bit quiet in this series, but not really. He's always on the ice. Obviously, he's the best player on the team and the captain. But I do think that this is his last shot at a wing, because I do think he's going to go into the NHL next year, especially if it's the Arizona or Montreal. He's going to be first overall pick, but I don't think Arizona will. I think it would be smart for Arizona if Arizona picks him to send him back to the OHL, because they're not competitive, and they won't be. Montreal, with the way they're playing recently under Martin St. Louis, yeah. So maybe Shane Wright will excel. You have Shane Wright, Nick Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield. Now that's a deadly 3 to have. So I would love to see those 3 together, but I would hate it because I feel like they would just dominate the league. So, because especially with the way that Suzuki and Caulfield are playing together, and then you add a talent like Shane Wright to it, oh my goodness, feels great. So anyway, you have Shane Wright, you have Levi Merlani, who's playing phenomenal. So this is going to be a huge game 4. Now, will Kingston take the 3-1 series lead and have a chance to win it, or will Oshawa surprise and actually win all the game, win and tie up the series? Only time to tell. See you around.